I want to talk about stress because that's. I'm looking at everybody because it's not a good time to get stressed out. It really isn't, because a close friend of mine told me that he was wondering if this virus situation was actually a real virus or not. Whether there was actually a virus out there. And he said, and people are getting, there's something out there, people are getting sick. And, but whether the virus is a killer or not, that's the debatable thing. And because people are catching what they're calling this virus, as far as we know, that people are being infected by this virus and they get sick. Some people die, but there's a lot of people are dying from lots of things. So if people die from a car accident, they're still getting marked down as COVID death and things like that. We hear about lots of these things happening out there. I don't want to talk it too much because then they'll take this video down. But the point is that just the idea, the stress involved in getting sick alone can get us sick, and we know that. I mean, the common immune system is down, we get sick, and our immune system breaks down quite easily when we're stressed. So, end of story. So now is not a good time to get stressed out because we don't want to get sick, and generally this time of year we never consider that we're going to catch a cold or we're going to catch a flu or we're going to catch some kind of a virus or anything like that. It's strange times right now. So the healthier we stay, the happier we'll be. And in Buddhism, thankfully they gave us a tool. The Buddha gave us a tool, and I think it's a brilliant set of lessons for us, and those are the Five Hindrances. And there's lots of messages in Buddhism, in the Buddhist teachings, about how to refrain from anxiety, and how to live a life that is peaceful, to have this peace of mind in everyday living, which is what the spiritual life is all about, and particularly Buddhism. To have peace of mind in daily living is the ideal thing that everybody wants. They want to be able to handle situations with peaceful mind. They want to, go throughout their entire day and have peace of mind. And it's not a hard thing to accomplish. If we remember that, if we're aware that we create our own stress, because it seems like it comes from out there. It really does. Somebody says something or somebody does something, and then we're elevated. We react. And even if we don't react, if we're used to, those triggers, there's chemicals inside that boil up. And we might look calm on the outside, but on the inside it's like, and we have to be aware of that too. We have to be aware of what's happening inside. And so one thing that we can keep in mind are the Five Hindrances. And these Five Hindrances are something that I think everybody listening here has heard me talk about. The very first one is desire. And that's not necessarily desire for material things, but also desire for psychological things, like different states of mind, wishing things would be different than what they are. Just wanting out of a situation can be a desire. I want out of here. Matt Flickstein told me a story. He was visiting a friend of his, and they had a little girl, and she was misbehaving, and so he had her go sit in the corner, and he told her not to leave that corner until he said so. You know, maybe we've all been in this situation when we were younger. So she had to sit in the corner, and after a while she was saying, "Let me out of here, let me out of here," you know, and there was nothing holding her, you know. So she had created this whole thing, and she was actually holding onto the bars, you know, like she was in prison. "Let me out of here." And it's like that in our own mind, you know. We can just say, "Let me out of this situation, let me out of here," which is a desire, you know, a desire to be in a different place or a different situation. And that's the first hindrance. The other, second hindrance, usually when we number them, is ill will or anger, rage, you know. Ill will, it can, you know, when we have a willingness to follow through, a willingness to be content, to be complete, and that willingness is damaged and taken away somehow, that is really considered ill will. You know what our ill will is, when that will is taken away. But it's usually directed at ourselves. Ill will is usually being angry at ourselves for something. And but we can get angry at all these things out there, and we can even get angry at what's happening inside, usually because of how we reacted to the things out there. We were fooled. We let that stuff fool us. And what I mean by that is that we don't have to be angered by any of this. It's just a decision that we make. And we make those decisions moment by moment by moment by moment. You know, do I want to be angry at this thing or this thing or this thing? Do we want to be upset by these things? And if we remember that we don't want to get stressed out, we don't want these things to happen to us, we're actually changing our awareness from that thing that maybe angered us to, you know, bringing it inside. Like, I don't want to be stressed out because I don't want to get sick, or whatever the reason might be, you know. I don't want I don't want that desire for things to be different, you know, the control to control my environment, just let things be, because I don't want that stress, I don't want that burden. And what is usually called the third hindrance is usually looked at as sloth and torpor, but I often like to get right into restlessness and worry, because restlessness and worry are something that a lot of people kind of associate with, and they look at that as probably their major hindrance. The worrying about the past, worrying about things that have happened, and as we have developed a habitual pattern of mind to worry, and the worry that we have is the same thing coming around again and again and again and again. It's like that thing that keeps you up at night. Sometimes we don't have any of those things, probably, and sometimes we do. And again, it's almost like that song that we can have in our mind, you know, that looping melody, you know, Rhapsody or something like that for me. But any of the Queen songs, because we saw that movie the other night.
Don't Stop Me Now.
Don't Stop Me Now.
I haven't gotten that one out of my head since that night.
Yeah. But so those aren't bad. Those aren't the earworms, the songs that keep cycling through your head, are not bad, but they're a good example of, or they could be bad, but they're a good example of the worries that we can have. And they just become habitual. And a lot of people think that, you know, I have to let these worries come because then I'll be able to figure them out. And they actually feel guilty if they're not worrying. I have a family member that's getting older and older, and as this person gets older and older, they worry more and more and more about the silliest things. And other people can see it, but this person can't see it. Asking, when's that next doctor appointment? When's that doctor's appointment? You know, just like when it, you know, just worrying about not making the appointment or something. And other people can see it, and it's kind of like us too. If we have these worries coming up again and again and again, and if we kind of change our seat and take a different vantage point and look at ourselves doing this worrying, it can change everything for us. And we come to that point where, what am I worrying about this for, you know? And we can start changing the direction of our thoughts, you know? It's a type of thought replacement. But don't get, again, we can get fooled by this worrying, thinking that it's necessary, thinking that we're actually getting someplace with it. But it has a lot to do with, it can have a lot to do with both fear and anger, these worryings and the restlessness of mind that we can have. So we want to spot that. We want to be aware of it and know that we're just allowing that to happen. I say just lightly, you know, but we are allowing that to happen. And then sloth and torpor, what we're looking at is the fourth hindrance is drowsiness of mind and body. It can include fatigue of all types, usually a cloudiness of the mind where things just are not clear. Meditation can help that. Meditation brings about a clarity of mind for us. So if we don't have a consistent practice in meditation and our mind is not as clear as we'd like it to, we already know why, because we're not meditating on a daily basis. And it can also be boredom too. Sloth and torpor can be associated with boredom, and we see that happening these days as well with you know, the everybody staying at home, and most people aren't going out as much. They're not as active as they were before with this pandemic situation that we have. And that's okay. So we should be taking advantage of that by meditating and working on our spiritual practice, working on the inside, rather than, you know, busying ourselves with the world out there. And then finally, we're looking at doubt as the fifth hindrance. And doubt can be doubt in mankind. It can be doubt in our own abilities. It could be doubt in our spiritual practice, doubt in the Dharma, in the Buddha Dharma, doubt in the teachings. And that includes meditation. You know, when we speak of Dharma, generally we're looking at the teachings that the Buddha laid out for us. But the Dharma is actually more so the insights that we gather from our practice, from our meditation practice. And the insights that we gather from our practice are the same insights that the Buddha is teaching us anyway. So we can get them both through our practice and through the scriptures, you know, the writings from Buddhism. So those are the five hindrances. They should they do have the power and the ability to allow us to live a calm, peaceful life. They were usually they're talked about as hindrances to our ability to concentrate and to our ability to, have a good meditation. And we can use them for that. Also, they are the hindrances to our happiness in life. Because the opposite of the hindrances is stress. And that's what we don't want. Because stress tears down our immune system. And with a weak immune system, we can have difficulties. So we want to keep strong and happy. So we can do a meditation, and I will guide us through a little bit of it. I'm going to do really a basic meditation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the hindrances, but I'm also going to talk about some of the basics that we should be looking for in our meditation practice. Gently close the eyes. Just bring your attention to the breath. The breath is a representation of the body at this point. The breath can be a representation of everything as it is constantly changing. It's rising and falling like the days and like our thoughts, like our lives, coming and going. Each breath is a new one. We use it, we release it. Again and again. We can also use the breath, of course, as a meditation object, feeling the sensation of the breath on the body. And focusing on that point. And as the Buddha instructed, he said if we have difficulty in our meditation, it's because of one of the 5 hindrances. We might have a desire to have our meditation be a little bit different. Even a different temperature or a different place. Or to have a different feeling or a different state, when we're meditating. If we're meditating to actually accomplish something or to be something different, during our meditation, that is actually a desire, so we want to be very careful of that. When we're in the practice of meditation itself, when we're doing the formal practice, it's a goalless activity. So we must watch the very subtle aspects of desire while we're meditating. And we want to be easy on ourselves. We don't want to be hard on ourselves for not being the right kind of meditator that we would like to be, or for not having a good meditation. We don't want to have any kind of ill will. Because we want to have peace of mind, particularly in our meditation practice. This is not a time for restlessness nor worry. We want to really forfeit, give up the past and the future, and rest in this presence, our true nature. And really get a taste of who we are, the ultimate truth of our being. And while we meditate, we want to have energy within the mind and the body. It's not a time for sleeping or dozing off or daydreaming. We want to stay energized and really be alert, but a calm alertness. We want to remain strong. And we want to know that as long as we're doing our formal practice of meditation, we should have no doubt in our abilities or the abilities of our spiritual practices. So the five hindrances: desire, ill will, restlessness and worry, sloth and torpor, and doubt are the five areas of mind that the Buddha was kind enough to point out that have no place in our meditation practice, because they hinder our practice and they also hinder our happiness in life. When any of these are present, they can bring about stress. And the Buddhist term for stress is dukkha. And this dukkha is brought about by attachment to any of these hindrances. And so we should be willing to absolutely let them go. So we can see them arise, and they will come up. They want to be a part of our everyday life and part of our meditation. But we don't want them to get sticky in any way. Just notice that they're there, be aware, and see them fall away just as they arose. knowing how they came about, usually from an outside disturbance, something that doesn't have to bother our inner life, our spiritual life, who we are on the inside. Who we are within. It's always good to remember that the teacher is always remaining silent during the lesson. So we'll sit in silence, and your job is to keep the hindrances at bay. have a few moments left here. Just try to notice any hindrances that might come up for you, or the lack of them particularly. Not to dwell on them or anything, just being aware. Is there any restlessness and worry? Any ill will, any kind of desire for things to be different? Can put our palms together in front of our hearts if you like. May each of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. And may we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. Thank you for the meditation, everyone.
Thank you.
Both live and online. So the Five Hindrances is the theme, I guess you could say. And there's an umbrella term, or umbrella conditions that are used a lot to explain what the Five Hindrances are. And it's probably even more popular than the Five Hindrances. And that's greed, hatred, and delusion. That's something that when we read the Buddhist books, and it comes up a lot in the Pali Canon about greed, hatred, and delusion, and what we should be doing with that. And that's actually the Five Hindrances. So that greed is, of course, desire, and hatred is the ill will, or the hatred or the anger that we can have, and the delusion are the rest of the hindrances, including restlessness and worry. That's a huge delusion. Sloth and torpor and doubt, and these delusions are are when the mind is not thinking or not aimed properly at what it should be looking at and how it should be looking at things. And all of these things are really, there's different aspects, but one of the things that comes to mind for me that kind of sparks all three of these is the idea of control and how our wanting to control has a lot to do with greed. We want to be in control of what we do have and what we don't have. We want to have certain conditions or certain things or certain ways, and there's certain things that we do not want. So it's a huge amount of control from our side if that greed or that desire comes up for us. Anger as well. If we get angry at something, at someone, at ourselves, it's because of the failure to have that control. We have failure to control ourselves if we become angry, but that a lot of times that angry will be sparked by our inability to control the situation. We can get angry at somebody easily for some things that they've said or done, or we can even think about an incident and get angry. We can think about something that was, some situation that we could think was stupid or something. All these different words come up, but it's really our lack of being able to control the situation the way we wish it to be. And delusion is very interesting. That aspect of mind that just does not see things clearly. The delusional mind is seeing the world from the aspect of it, all these things out there bothering what's inside. So we look at the aspect of our spiritual life and how we live spiritually, how we can be very peaceful, within, no matter what is happening out there, no matter what the chaos is or the situation. And when we drop our guard on that, that's the delusion coming up. We're seeing things out there as if they are actually affecting us on the inside, and we let it happen all the time. But the idea is to really watch that and be on guard about that, because there's the outer world and there's the inner world. The outer world is just simply what we pick up through our senses and how we see things. And if we register by this, what we see and hear, smell, taste, and touch, if we register it in a delusional way, it will harm us on the inside. In other words, the chemistry within will function differently, thinking that this outer world has this power on us within, and that's just because we're letting our guard down, letting that happen, and that's the delusion. Greed, hatred, and delusion. Very important to remember these things, and that is the five hindrances.